Hey everybody, it's ASF here, coming at you with the second devlog of my journey to making my dream RPG game. It's been a few weeks since the last video, so let's do a quick recap of where I'm at and what I've got done so far. In the first devlog, I covered that I've been working on my game dev and pixel art skills for a little over a year, and I had the ambitious idea of creating the kind of RPG game that I would have loved to play growing up. You know, the kind with real-time combat, an open world to explore, and some fun characters and enemies to fight against. At this point, I'd completed what I considered to be the bare bones of the starting area and the nearby dungeon. I had a small selection of enemies, a mini boss, and an actual boss. They all still needed some work, but I was happy with what I had accomplished in just a little over a month. After releasing the first video along with the demo and getting some feedback, I thought about what to work on next. I pulled up an old trusty whiteboard I have, and I started writing down a little checklist. My first order of business was a new attack animation with the sword slash. I wasn't the biggest fan of what the old animation looked like, so I just wanted to try something new, and it felt a lot cleaner. I wanted a new cave zone with multiple new enemies, like the crab, bat, and rock golem. I wanted to make two new zones called Palette West 1 and 2 that would give the player a little bit more room to explore, as well as flesh out the world a little bit more. Last but not least, I wanted to remodel Palette City and Palette City North a little bit. I liked how they looked overall, but I just wanted to polish them off for the new update of the game demo. The first thing I started working on was the new attack animation. Some of my friends that had tried the demo mentioned that the original attack just didn't feel that great and had way too lenient of a hitbox. Funnily enough, I think the optimal strategy to beat the bosses in the original demo was to just walk in a straight line away from them and abuse the attack's broken hitbox. Now, as much as I like reverse hitboxes, this isn't really what I had planned, so it needed to get redone. It took me a few tries, but I finally got an animation I'm pretty happy with on both a visual and a game feel level. I'll probably still end up tweaking it a bit, but it's most of the way there. Next, I started working on the tile set for the first set of caves that the player would encounter. The plan is for the player to travel east after conquering the first dungeon and to find a new biome on the other side of this cave. I had never drawn a cave before, and overall, I'd say that tile sets aren't something that I'm super experienced with making, so this took me a few sessions of drawing to get to a state that I was happy with. I also thought of some cool ideas to make the enemies and the whole cave experience really unique, but you'll just have to see how that shapes up in the next video, so like and subscribe for more. After finishing the cave essentials, I decided to keep working on tile sets and pixel assets to fill in the general palette area as well as Palette West 1 and 2. I liked the general feel that this starting area had, but I wanted to expand on it a little. As a kid, I loved to just get lost in the worlds of these games, wandering aimlessly, killing random mobs, seeing what different NPCs had to say, and occasionally stumbling across a hidden chest. I felt like adding in a few extra zones and potentially sprinkling in a secret or two would help make that kind of experience possible in the Goblin RPG. Now, I thought that after finishing the cave in a few sittings that Palette West 1 and 2 would be really fast as well. The exact opposite ended up being true. In the 3-week span between the first devlog and this one, I probably spent about 5 or 6 days working on these zones. It wasn't even really working on both of them either, just the first one. I had a really hard time coming up with a solid idea or theme for this zone, and I didn't want to pull up references or ask around for ideas. I wanted it to feel unique. Like I said before, this took a long time. I hit a kind of creative and motivational slump and found it hard to make significant progress for what felt like forever. Finally, I had a rough idea while at work one day and roughly sketched it out on a piece of paper. From there, it was much easier to design the room layout and pixel art and then just fill in the open spaces. By the time I got West 1 done, I already had a few ideas for West 2, so that ended up being much quicker to make. I also added a cave that looks like it might contain some secrets in it someday. My original plan after the first video was to make a new devlog about every 3 or 4 weeks. That deadline that once seemed so far away was now just around the corner. It really didn't help that I also managed to get sick around this time. But despite everything, I knew there was one more change I could make that would give me some great bang for my buck and would synergize well with the other updates I made. I wanted to redo the dungeon layout. Some of the rooms had their own gimmicks that I liked, but some were really bland and forgettable, so I tried to revamp those ones in particular. The result is something that is a little too hard, but something that I'm proud of. I say it's too hard just because there's so many opportunities for the player to take damage, and there's not that many good ways to heal it all back up. My idea to remedy this was to reduce the amount of damage that the player takes from enemies, but I'll make a final decision after I see what people say after the demo update. As for the GRPG in this devlog, that's about where I'm at for now. I didn't get to work on everything that I planned to, but I feel like I added a lot in the way of textures, sprites, and overall feel. In the first video, I mentioned that the GRPG was beginning to feel more like a game and less like a coding project. Now, it's starting to feel more like an open world, as opposed to just a collection of rooms. As for next time, here's my wish list for 3 to 4 weeks from now. Saving and loading. The game is a lot longer now, so dying all the way at the end and restarting a pallet really sucks. A hospital or a rest area to heal. Like I mentioned before, there aren't a bunch of good ways for the player to heal up to full health, so this will just help them out as well. Finally, reworking the boss fights. I have some ideas, now I just need to execute on them. I think you guys will like the result. And finally, basic sequences for a cutscene. Sequences are a new data type that I'm not experienced with using in GameMaker Studio 2, so I'm just going to experiment with them and see what I can come up with. Well friend, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help me grow my channel and to show that you like this kind of content. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to get notified when the next video goes live. And one more thing, follow us on Twitter @PartyGoblins. There, I like to post goblin memes, game updates, and new additions to the Goblin Party NFT collection. I hope to see you there. I'm ASF, and I thank you for watching.